Most people treat relationships like emotional decisions, but relationships are life decisions. That's the difference. Because the person you choose doesn't just affect your emotions. They affect your focus, your finances, your peace, your discipline, your future, your children, your mental health, your direction in life, everything. And a lot of people don't fully understand this until it's too late. Because when people are younger, they often choose relationships emotionally. Attraction, chemistry, attention, validation, excitement. But very few people stop and ask, what kind of life will this person help me build? That's a completely different question. Because attraction can make you blind temporarily. You start ignoring red flags because emotions are strong. You rationalize things you normally wouldn't tolerate. You confuse intensity with compatibility, and that's dangerous because one wrong relationship can cost you years, not just emotionally, financially, mentally, spiritually. The wrong person can completely throw your life off course. People underestimate how powerful emotional environments are. A peaceful relationship can sharpen your focus. A chaotic relationship can destroy your discipline. That's real. Some people become better in relationships, more stable, more productive, more focused, more emotionally grounded. And some people slowly fall apart, not because they're weak, but because chaos drains energy. Constant conflict drains energy. Emotional instability drains energy. Lack of peace drains energy. And eventually, you stop building. You enter survival mode instead. That's why emotionally mature people stop choosing partners based only on feelings. They start evaluating patterns, character, discipline, emotional stability, integrity, accountability, long-term alignment, because mature people understand love alone cannot sustain a relationship without structure. That's one of the biggest lies modern culture sells people. The idea that love is enough. No, love matters. But love without discipline becomes chaos. Love without accountability becomes instability. Love without alignment becomes suffering. And people don't realize this because modern culture heavily romanticizes emotion, but rarely teaches relationship responsibility. Nobody talks enough about emotional regulation, communication, discipline, financial habits, peace, conflict resolution, shared values, long-term compatibility. But those things determine whether relationships survive pressure. And pressure eventually comes for everybody. Bills, stress, career setbacks, health issues, children, fatigue, disappointment, real-life test relationships. And when two emotionally immature people enter a relationship, pressure exposes everything. That's why some relationships become emotionally exhausting. Not because people are evil, but because both people entered the relationship incomplete, still undisciplined, still emotionally reactive, still dependent on validation, still avoiding accountability. And eventually, the relationship becomes heavy instead of supportive. That's when people start feeling trapped because they entered the relationship chasing feelings without evaluating consequences. And consequences compound, especially when children become involved, especially when finances become tied together, especially when your emotional health becomes connected to someone unstable. That's why wise people move carefully with relationships, not because they're afraid of love, but because they understand the cost of the wrong decision. A bad relationship can delay your growth for years. It can destroy your peace, destroy your confidence, destroy your focus, destroy your consistency. And honestly, some people never fully recover emotionally from certain relationships. That's real, which is why emotionally intelligent people stop asking, how do I keep someone? And start asking, is this person healthy for my future? That's maturity, because mature people understand the goal is not simply to be chosen. The goal is to choose wisely. And modern culture doesn't encourage that. Modern culture encourages impulsiveness, fast attachment, fast emotions, fast validation. People bond emotionally before evaluating compatibility properly. And once emotions get involved, clarity becomes difficult. You start seeing potential instead of patterns. You start hoping instead of evaluating. You start emotionally investing in who someone could become instead of accepting who they consistently are. That's dangerous because patterns are usually more honest than promises. Anybody can say, I'll change, I'll do better, it'll be different later. But long-term behavior reveals the truth. That's why intentional people observe carefully. How does this person handle stress? How do they communicate during conflict? How do they manage money? How do they treat people beneath them? How disciplined are they? How emotionally stable are they? Do they bring peace or confusion? Those questions matter far more than surface level chemistry because chemistry can create attachment. But attachment is not the same as alignment. And many people confuse the two. One of the most dangerous things in life is building your future with someone who lacks emotional discipline because eventually their instability becomes your burden. And over time, that burden affects every area of your life. Your sleep, your health, your productivity, your mindset, your emotional stability. That's why some people become emotionally exhausted inside relationships. Not because relationships are bad, but because the wrong relationship creates constant pressure. And pressure changes people. That's why peaceful relationships are underrated. Peace is not boring. Peace is valuable. A relationship should not feel like constant emotional warfare. It should not constantly drain your energy. The right relationship should help you become stronger, more stable, more focused, more disciplined, more grounded. Not perfect, but aligned. That's the difference. And honestly, this applies to both men and women because everybody is affected by the quality of the people closest to them. Your environment shapes you, and the closest environment you will ever have is your relationship, which is why your partner is one of the biggest decisions you will ever make. Not because they complete you, but because they heavily influence the direction of your life. That's why emotionally mature people stop rushing relationships. They stop chasing intensity. They stop glorifying chaos. They stop confusing drama with passion, and they start prioritizing peace, consistency, character, emotional safety, shared values, and long-term alignment. Because eventually, you realize something important. The wrong person can cost you years, but the right person can help you build a life that feels lighter, more peaceful, more intentional, more stable, and honestly, that changes everything. So maybe the real question is not, do I love this person? Maybe the real question is, can we build a healthy future together? Because attraction can start a relationship, but only alignment can sustain one. If this changed how you think about relationships, like subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.